While it's most normal to work with C++ files in terms of lines and words and numbers and strings, we can also work in terms of just characters alone. In the next two lessons, I'll be talking about how to write characters only to a file and how to read characters only from a file. So let's start with how we write characters to a file. First thing we need to do is include the fstream library. So we'll add that into our code. I'm not going to worry about error checking for this particular program, but understand that in a real-world program you would want to check and make sure that the file you're trying to write to can be written to, or that it's available or able to be created. We'll need a char variable for our program, so we'll write char c. And we'll start out by writing one single character to a file. So I'm going to write c equals a, or c is assigned the character a. Now I'm going to create my output file stream file, and we'll save a little time by not prompting the user to enter a name, and we'll just enter it ourselves. And this is an output file, like so. To write a character to a file, we're going to use a function named put. Put single argument will be the character we want to write to the file. So we'll write it like so, and that's all we're going to do, so we'll close the file. Let's run the program. We'll get no response other than just an empty window. Then let's open a DOS window and look at the file. Type c:\\data\chars.txt, and there's the single A that we wrote to the file. So of course we could write multiple characters. Let's write a few more. One more. All right. Build and run the program. Bring up our DOS window again. Run the type command again. And see that we've got those characters in the file. Now, that's not a very practical program. What I want to do now is write a program that allows me to enter characters into the console until I want to stop and then write those characters out to a file. So the way I'm going to do that is write a loop. So I create my character c, my char variable c, and then I say while c in c, while there's this character to get from the console, write it to the file. And I accidentally erased my file, so let me go add that in real quick. chars.txt, iOS out, close the file, there we go. So now we can write out file put c, and that's really all we have to do. And this will input characters from the console into the file until I stop input with a combination Control-Z, enter, Control-Z. So let's give that little program a shot. Oops, I forgot one step. Close the file. Let's see how that works. Now is the time, and we'll stop there. So I hit Control-Z, enter, Control-Z, and that stops the input. So let's go take a look at the file. Let's clear the screen, and we'll run the type command, and there are my characters. Notice that because we're working with cin, that there is no spacing. Cin ignores the space between the letters that I type. So when I type now space is, that space character is ignored. That's one of the problems with character output to a file. The space is ignored. And we don't normally want to use that type of finely controlled output to a file. Normally we're going to work like we did before with numbers, or we could do the same thing with strings and write out lines at a time. But this was just to demonstrate that it is possible to write out characters one at a time using a strategy such as this. And this is a common way to perform such a task. There's not much else to say about writing chars or characters to a file, so we'll go on and move to the next lesson where we talk about reading characters from a file, which has a little more practical use.